So I'm Brent Prather. I am the son of Dr. George Prather, and being an only son, I was especially blessed growing up to make house calls with him and to grow up and realize my dream, which was to be a partner and a pediatrician like him. And it all worked out. I got to share 15 years of practice with him. He retired, and since 1995, I have been a full-time pediatric allergist, which is great. But Dr. George Prather was truly my inspiration, my mentor, my best teacher, and the most wonderful partner I could have ever had.
Dr. George Prather was pretty much a continuous worker through all of his lifetime. And there were 10 years I worked with him. It was a 24-hour-a-day job, which includes the office, Dr. George Prather and I, working office all day, emergency room calls at night, house calls at night, and he was there for patients at any time of the day or night. In fact, there were times when, in the process of Dr. George Prather working, he would have people go to his house instead of making house calls. If he made enough house calls, he had them meet him at his house and would see the patients over there.
Dr. Prather was probably one of the first pediatricians here in Opelousas, and he took on a lot of the burden of the whole community upon himself, and he took care of every patient that he could. He was my pediatrician from the time that I was born till probably I was 30 years old, and he took care of all of my children growing up until he retired. Then his son, Dr. Brandt, took over, and I think he's followed exemplary in his father's footsteps. I just want to say it's been an honor to be here to pay tribute to this man. He was one of my all-time personal heroes, one of the best physicians that I've ever known here at OGH as far as giving of his time and himself to the community and the kids of the community. I don't think there's any family around here that hasn't in some way been touched by Dr. Prather.
My dad was, besides being just a gifted pediatrician, phenomenal diagnostician, he had the most easygoing personality, no matter how tired he was, and I think he was probably sleep deprived for over 50 years. He never was grumpy. He was always pleasant and kind and gentle, and I think that relieved his patients, so they felt comfortable calling him, and he responded to those calls. He never said no. He came out all hours of the night, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, for 50 years, and I think that's why when he retired, 1,200 people came to the office to wish him well, and 1,200 people cried, honestly. They loved him and they appreciated his devotion.
Dr. George Prather was our uncle, and he was married to our Aunt Kathleen, who was our mom's sister. Mom and Dad had 3 boys, and we were all born at Opelousas General. From the moment the 3 of us were born, George was there for us at any time of the day or night, as our doctor and as a wonderful uncle. We miss them both very much and are so thankful for the time we had with them and for all they did for us.
As my brother Mike has said, we all have very fond memories of Uncle George and Aunt Kitty. I'll always remember the black leather bag Uncle George carried home each night. The bag contained the instruments and supplies needed for the numerous house calls that he made, and for treating the many patients who drove up to his house and knocked on the door. Weekends, holidays, nighttime, or whenever care was needed, he was there for everyone. His kindness, gentleness, and generosity were unmatched. We were very lucky to have Dr. George and Aunt Kitty in our lives.
A week doesn't go by that I don't hear somebody, usually my age or older, come in and tell me a story of something wonderful that my dad did for them or their siblings or their parent or their children. And it makes my week. I never get tired of hearing those wonderful stories. On behalf of my sister, Patty, and myself and my children, and all the thousands of patients that were inspired and treated by my dad, I would like to accept the award, the Hall of Fame award from the Opelousas General Health System for this year.